The SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com and use code SGPN for 50% off. That's SGPN, 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast Tailor-Made Stealth 2 Driver Giveaway. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver to enter today before the big drawing on April 8th. And finally, we're brought to you by Baseball Money is Fake, our fantasy baseball podcast. Join Blake and Ryan 3 times a week and get all the player breakdowns and statistical data you need to dominate. Yes, that's fun. If you want a driver, you can win just by giving a review to the Golf Gambling Podcast. That is terrific. I am joined by Justin Bruni today. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Good start to the week here. Got a Monday night Superflex draft on the books. Very excited. I have already done one today, so I'm ready to do another.
Absolutely. We're always doing stuff for the fans, covering dynasty, advice, waiver wires, whatnot. This one's a little bit for us too. I always enjoy doing these underdog drafts. They're a lot of fun. So, this is the best. This is the fun part, actually, trying to track down a draft we can do. So I am going to. Are you ready? So if for people who aren't familiar with how we do this, we have, their underdog boards are live. So we are trying to jump into a live one. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, we accidentally jump into one where we're the 12th member and we can't get the second person in. So I'm going to go diving in right now. Let me see here. We have 6 more. You are good to join, my friend. Are you in?
Sweet. Easy
All
peasy.
right, five more to start. So now we wait for 5 more to join. So I don't know how fast these Superflex ones go. It looks like we're down to 4. So it looks like we'll be diving in pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty subjective. I mean, earlier I tried to draft with Sean and Kramer, and it was weird. Like they had just got into theirs. They must have literally both got in as their last 2 because I went in at the same time and there was a lobby of 6 and it was a completely different draft. And then we wound up finishing before them. So you never know how it goes. Every draft is going to be unique. It's all going to be different.
Yeah, and these Superflex drafts are unique, obviously, because you are starting, potentially 2 quarterbacks, and they are a lot different than the single quarterback formats. On Underdog, quarterbacks go very, very quickly, and this is actually, I did 50 or 60 of these drafts last year. This is actually my first time doing one this season, and I can already tell by looking at it that quarterbacks are king in this format too. It appears that we have 11 quarterbacks within the first 16 picks of ADP. That sounds right. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, I want to go fishing for a top QB in the first round for sure. I have done a few of these now, and I have finished a first round leaving with Justin Jefferson and then coming back around with Kirk Cousins. So, early on in the first round, I'm definitely top 5. I'm absolutely taking a quarterback in this format. However, in that middle ground, like that, 6 to 8 or 9, I feel like I could sneak in, kind of play chicken with the position players, maybe a Justin Jefferson, maybe a Jamar Chase, closer to maybe pick 8 or 9. If I feel I can come back with Burrow, you'll probably miss out on him on the turn if he isn't gone, just because, again, that's how aggressive they'll be. But also at the very last end of the first round, like these last few picks, I like doubling up on QB for sure. And I think folks will see that if you've been doing underdog drafts, you can just really attack QBs and receivers early on and still play the running back game and let those guys, drift into the back end of ADP.
Yeah, I would love starting off with 2 quarterbacks in these formats. I just don't feel comfortable selecting like a kind of a poor fantasy quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round of drafts. I think it's a really bad value. So I always try to lock up my 2 quarterbacks in the first few picks, obviously, but we are down to 30 seconds and we'll be drafting here. Where are you picking at, my friend?
I am 111, so it looks like I will probably be in that
auto bus. Okay.
Yeah, that looks like it'll probably be a position to double up on QB at the end of the first round. Like I said, even in that draft I did with Justin Jefferson and then Kirk Cousins, I was also able to come back around in rounds 3 and 4 and stack up Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. Now, it's not just going to fall into your lap like that. You're going to need, some dominoes to fall with the picks ahead of you to get an ideal, starter stack set, between 2 QBs and 2 top receivers like that. But, and also with that approach, you're just absolutely, fading running back, which I've been doing a lot recently.
And you know what? just while we have a safe moment here before I pick in 8 picks, I just wanted to remind the folks that we are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is a great place to get down on fantasy and player props all year long. Underdog Fantasy has your favorite NBA, NHL, and MLB games. Plus, they've already doing best ball drafts for the 2023 NFL season that we are doing right now. Head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right. Do we have any surprises here? It looks like at the top of the draft, the first 3 quarterbacks, no surprise there. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields, your man at number 4, though. How do you feel about that?
It's on par with ADP. That's what I've seen, honestly, the first couple of drafts that I've done. Personally, because I'm just not I'm not a run first QB guy at that position. I would probably like Joe Burrow, but at the same time, you have to differentiate. You have to, especially if you're doing, multiple drafts like this, if you're doing one and done, by all means, you can take your shot. But if you're doing these multiple drafts, you obviously have to differentiate. I really can't hate it because, again, it's just what ADP is calling for in this situation. All QBs so far.
Yeah. Oh man, I hate that. That is not good. I don't like that at all. But I am going to continue.
Aggressive.
I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with a guy who I think could be on a revenge tour this season. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson, who's going to want to remind people why he is the top quarterback in the one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, looking for a new team. Maybe we don't know where he's going to play yet. Where did you just go? Oh, the obvious. You took Justin Jefferson.
No, I did not. I'm about to pick here, and
man, I see you.
I just don't see how I can get away without taking a quarterback here. I don't love this, but I'm gonna take Tua. And again, it's just because the demand. I mean, that's a lot of QBs to go. There's only looks like it's gonna be one position player in the first round, and that is a little bit more aggressive than what I've seen so far. It looks like it was 2. It was Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
That is not what I like to see because I agree, like a lot of these people, they're obviously thinking a lot like me. I don't like to spend a premium pick on a kind of gross quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round. I'd rather lock up my guys right now, take a top end quarterback, which may be available. I'm going to go ahead and take another. I'm going to get risky here. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, 2 guys not coming off of strong fantasy seasons, but who have very high ranges of outcomes. These are guys who have been top 5 quarterbacks before and certainly could be top 5 quarterbacks again. Lamar Jackson struggled with injuries. Deshaun Watson struggled with plenty of off the field stuff to his own making. So we will see what happens there. But I like I'm okay with my start. These are guys who I would have liked to have a little better quarterbacks available with me to each pick. I would wish somebody would have slid in a running back or wide receiver, but
exactly.
So where are you at here? You're coming.
I have Tua and Kirk Cousins, and I won't be picking for a while.
So neither of us will be picking for a while. I'm 14 picks away. I mean, that's a quarterback heavy draft there, but that's the deal in Superflex. Sometimes people fade the quarterback a little bit, which is less so in Underdog Fantasy. It's always traditionally the quarterbacks go heavy, but if you're in a draft with your friends or anything like that, we were just talking about it before the show. The quarterbacks can fall by the wayside, even in Superflex. Any surprises you see on the draft board so far?
Let me take a look here. I was really hoping to land Dak Prescott at pick 11. To be honest with you, they're just going to pass the ball a ton this season. Have been the past prior few years, but I expect them to continue that same type of attack. Kirk Cousins, I like. I mean, getting him at pick 14, I feel pretty good about. There's no real surprises here other than just the quarterbacks just completely dominating the first round. I think typically we would have seen at least another 2 position players, maybe like a CMC, maybe a CMC, maybe an Eckler. Looks like Eckler is really getting pushed down right now. I'm surprised seeing Bijan still go ahead of him.
Jonathan Taylor is on the board in the 3rd round. That's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to get like this, and it's going to even itself out. I'm still not, again, I'm not prioritizing running backs this early. I haven't been doing that even in single QB. And reading the board here, I just feel like I'm going to have some good options at receiver when it comes back to me at the end of the 3rd and start of the 4th round.
One of the things that I always keep in mind in these Superflex formats is the fact that it is just 2 wide receivers. So you only need 2 wide receivers. So I think that does downgrade the wide receivers a little bit, in my opinion. You do like to have a top end outcome. But as far as, trying to pound depth at wide receiver, I feel comfortable rolling in with a little bit lighter wide receiver set than typical underdog drafts.
Yeah, I'd back that up with the tight end still, probably. I would probably revert that to a third tight end still. I just don't love running backs early on, and the later end ADP is just super friendly. They just love to sit around here. We got a nice little run of receivers, though, in this round. Round 3, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams at pick 27, Amon-Ra 28, Garrett Wilson 29. Good little run there.
My brain does little malfunctions there when I'm trying to do live drafts and stream at the same time. I'm like, what's happening? I lose track in the draft. I'm like, did I just get auto pick? No. I know people are just moving slow today and taking their full 30 seconds. That's what's happening.
Are you going to snag Jalen Waddle from me here? I think someone else might, but you're up in a couple of picks here.
Oh,
if Auto Bust, okay, I was going to say if Auto Bust takes another receiver, I was not going to be happy.
I am going to steal Jalen Waddle. I mean here. Just
Unreal.
a really high end outcomes that I'm looking for
class.
in best ball leagues. There we go.
No class, Emerson.
I'm sorry,
unreal.
I don't want Underdog shutting down our draft due to collusion. I can't just leave him for you for 2 attacks.
I just tipped you the pick, and you're like, yeah, you know what? I will take that guy.
So see, I wish if we're gonna do that, I would just tell you not. Oh, don't take the best player on the board. Oh, and then we can just play that game the entire time.
You know what? I'll just take my third quarterback. Screw it.
Third quarterback? What?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was just like, come on. No,
I'm going to take a receiver here because, like I said, I like loading up on receivers. Oh, went Breece Hall instead on the auto pick. Got 2 screens up.
Oh, see, that's what happens. That's what happens.
Yep, that's the live draft game. This next one, I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss this next one because I was already planning on taking him.
I'll tell you, I don't like that Breece Hall pick for you. I don't like it at all.
It's all right. I'll get Michael Carter in the back end. I'll be fine. I'm a big Michael Carter advocate. I get TJ Hawkinson.
I just don't like running backs coming off of ACLs for obvious reasons, and I just don't think you will see that production the first half, but he could certainly pay off for you in the second half of the season. I do expect him to get better and regain that explosiveness like running backs typically do in the second half. We did see that with J.K. Dobbins last year.
Well, typically I practice my best ball Bible, and my best ball Bible would have been Jalen Waddle, TJ Hawkinson right there. So, I had to break code a little bit.
I'll tell you, I know he's old, but in an underdog draft where we're just, it's $10 and I'm probably, this is probably my first of many Superflex drafts. How can I not go Derrick Henry? He could be the RB1.
Oh, yeah,
it wouldn't surprise anybody. I'm going to go Derrick Henry right here in the 4th round. That's crazy. That guy.
I'll trade you Breece Hall for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's an auto pick.
In dynasty leagues, Derrick Henry is obviously not someone I have a lot of faith in. The wheels could fall off at any moment. But if we're just betting in a redraft league, especially with guys like us who are in hundreds of best ball drafts, maybe we're in tons of redraft leagues. Why not take the chance on Derrick Henry in the 4th round? I'm all for it.
No, I don't hate it whatsoever. Yeah. By the way, Snicker Rabbit, he took 3 quarterbacks to start, and I don't hate it whatsoever. T-Law, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, I don't hate that. Then he started with Devonta Smith. It's a deep draft. You're done. You're good. You're done.
Just think we're betting, in underdog drafts, we're just really betting on high-end outcomes. I might not take another quarterback the rest of the draft. I took 2 quarterbacks, the first 2 picks. They're not going to play every week, but it is best ball, and I'm just going to have my automatic best skill position player slide in the 2 weeks that they have buys. I'm betting on Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson, Pro Bowl, borderline, all MVP seasons for these guys. That's what we're betting on when we take these guys this early, and I'm fine betting on that. So I might not even, if I have one in later picks with good value, I might take one, but I might not even pick another quarterback the rest of the draft.
Yeah, I'll probably take a later round sleeper just because if you can get that guy that no one was banking on, like maybe a Sam Howell or something like that. The ADP is just super friendly in this format to not have, or just to get you that availability for a bye week.
This is nuts. This is disrespectful. Josh Jacobs is there at 48.
It's the format, brother. It's everybody's getting pushed down another round or two. I know it's fun. I love it.
This is crazy.
I love it.
But there's so many wide receivers that didn't deserve to go before Josh Jacobs. I know we hate running backs, but come on, like, this is nuts. Like we're at. I just don't agree with a lot of these picks. This is a little crazy for me. I know Underdog is crazy for wide receivers, but it's half PPR, people. Come on.
We just do so many drafts, man. We're gonna walk into these rooms every now and again where we're just seeing, off the wall ADP choices, people moving people up, letting them sit. I mean, that's the beauty of the game, brother.
Chris
that's
Olave,
why we do it.
Chris Olave, T. Higgins.
That's what I'm saying. I keep
DeAndre
taking those
Hopkins,
guys.
Calvin Ridley. None of these guys have any business going ahead of Josh Jacobs. This is crazy.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you can keep stacking and getting the value that you want. You can, attack the game however you like. It's the way I look at Underdog. You're pretty much playing McDonald's Monopoly with your own strategy. Like, you actually get to play the game. It's all a lottery ticket at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's all you're cashing out.
That's why we love Underdog. It's just so easy to hop in. But before I get a chance to dive into my first pick and 5 picks here, or my 5th pick and 5 picks here, I'm just going to remind people about that driver giveaway one more time on the Golf Gambling Podcast Network. Yes, it is tailor-made, and yes, you can simply enter to win by just leaving a review on either I believe Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Is completely free to enter, and you have a chance to win. The drawing will take place on Sunday, April 8th, so make sure you get in by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. All right, I am coming up here in 3 picks. Like I said, it's always a lot of juggling in these live drafts.
I'm not telling you who to take this time.
Trying to do ad reads, live drafts, live stream. It always puts my brain in a little pretzel. I'm always trying to wrestle with it a little bit, but here we go, man. Oh, I just walk into the easy. I guess I'm just going to walk into the really easy stack here. I'm going to take, Amari Cooper rated his projected ADP here. He's at the top of the draft board.
Thank you.
Of course, it just links well with my team. I didn't have to step on your toes there.
Son of a jacked up mother. This dude jacked up right before me snipes DJ Moore. That's the second time that's happened to me today.
Your man DJ Moore, yeah.
Christian Kirk is my first receiver.
Christian, that's a value of Christian Kirk. I like him better than Calvin Ridley this year. I might prefer DJ. It's close between Christian Kirk and DJ Moore for me, but
that's ahead of his ADP. His ADP is 68, and I took him at 59. So not certainly ideal, but I could do worse.
There's a couple exciting guys here right at the top of the list. I just see, this is why I take a couple quarterbacks early, though. There's like Jordan Love here and CJ Stroud are getting taken in the 6th round. I couldn't imagine taking those guys right now.
Yeah. And again, that's why, I tell everybody in this format, just take a quarterback early. Everybody's going to have to do it. There will be some teams that play chicken and you can expose them. So if you see the guy next to you draft Justin Jefferson, don't let him come back around and take Kirk Cousins. Don't let them have that stack. You can play some defense a little bit because everybody's hands are going to tell a little bit more so in this format than others. So it's a lot of fun. I love this format, to be perfectly honest with you. It really allows you to leverage your best ball knowledge and just off-season fantasy, intake a lot more. I
just took Jerry Jeudy, somebody who I think can be a top 15 wide receiver this season. I just wrote an article explaining that on Player Profiler. So I'm excited him in the 6th round. I think, coming in with hopefully a revamped offense with Sean Payton in the fold, I think it could be very exciting. Who was your most recent pick here? You're coming up.
I took Drake London. Drake London.
I would have taken. I have Jerry Jeudy. I'm just a little bit nervous at the who's quarterback for Atlanta. We saw them struggle last year, but Desmond Ridder did provide more fantasy upside for those two. At least Drake level. Kyle Pitts wasn't there, but he was better for Drake London's fantasy value than Marcus Mariota was.
Right. And that's a late round stacking opportunity that I'm definitely going to look to explore. Desmond Ridder, very friendly QB ADP range. I took him as my 3rd QB earlier behind Joe Burrow and Jared Goff. And I want to say they were separated by about 100 plus picks. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy who, why was it name escaping me? It's after I just did another podcast that my brain's a little fuzzy. Who was the wide receiver for the Raiders last year who provided a little flex value behind
Matt Collins?
Matt Collins, yeah.
Yeah, you wrote up on him today.
Yes, I did. That's why he's fresh in my mind. So
Mhm.
Mac Hollins signing with the Atlanta Falcons. He could be a potential good target later on in drafts, especially if you have Desmond Ridder wanting to do a stack. I wouldn't put it past Atlanta to acquire a quarterback in this year's draft, but we'll see. We'll see. It certainly could be Desmond Ridder to start the year, but he doesn't have that kind of draft capital to solidify him in the starting role.
No, definitely not. But again, a friendly ADP target, you get him anywhere close to rounds, probably 8 or 9. I think you're just fine. Like, I mean, and again, that's just the format, because he still is right now number 1 guy in the depth chart. There goes Kyle Pitts, first pick around 7.
Oh, man, that's good value on that. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, Kenny Pickett was taking 2 picks before, so I'd say so. I'd say so.
See, that's what I mean. I just can't.
Yeah, I love it.
When you have to take Kenny Pickett or something like that, or CJ Stroud in the 6th or 7th round, when there's guys who there's RB2s left still on the board, that doesn't make me feel good. So I don't mind overpaying for Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson, maybe a little bit in the 1st or 2nd round, and start just getting the value now at the running back and wide receivers that are falling down the board.
Where are you at with this draft, with maybe not this specific draft, but this format with targeting tight end? Like, do you have a specific place that you're looking, a specific player? Is it really just about the board?
It really is about the board when you're doing accumulative drafts like us. Obviously, if you're just planning on doing 1 or 2 drafts, pick your guys. You know what I mean? If you have some guy coming up, don't go crazy, because you want to try to take guys at a decent value at least. But when we're just doing when we're guys like us who are doing maybe 20 drafts or something like that, it's about how the board falls for me. So if there's a tight end who comes up who is at a decent, I want to get a tight end of value. So usually, if I have one that's, slides a couple picks past ADP, I don't even have to necessarily love him as a player, but, I might take him at, oh, wow. I got distracted talking, and I came up in the pick here. So 15 seconds here. Oh, man.
Screw it up, Emerson.
Oh my God, this is so disrespectful to Chris Godwin, wide receiver 32. Come on, guys, come on. That was I'm glad I got to think about it, because Chris Godwin, wide receiver 32, that is as bad as Deontay Johnson being the wide receiver 39. Come on, people. He was 6th in targets last year. Oh my God.
There you go. And where did he just go? Off the boat.
Oh my God. Somebody listening to this? Oh my God, that was perfect.
That was me. I did that.
Oh, you did that. I was okay. All right. I was wondering. I was like, no way. See, you could have waited. You knew I was going to probably take him though. That's a good pick. That's a good.
No. So earlier today, again, I was doing a draft, and I was hoping to get in with Sean and Kramer and get on with their 7.0 best ball draft. But we still wound up drafting with some usuals. There were some folks in the family chat, including our boy Indiana Jones, friend of the show, friend of my co-host Andrew Robb. And dude was just sniping me on these receivers, including Deontay Johnson. So I felt really good about at least giving one share of Deontay today. He also sniped me on DJ Moore and Donta Foreman. It was a rough afternoon making picks for me.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes. Sometimes the board just said this, particularly like the playoff best ball ones. Like sometimes they just don't go right, and that's typical for how it can go sometimes. So.
Yeah, these last 2 receivers, I pulled them both up the board, Brandon Cooks and Deontay Johnson. I think that they're going to finish well ahead of their best ball ADP value on Underdog right now. I took both of those guys ahead of Brandon Ayuk, Marquise Brown, Mike Evans, George Pickens, and Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney is someone that's interesting in that group that I just mentioned, that I would consider right after DJ and Brandon Cooks, but I like both of those guys a lot this upcoming season.
Yeah, me too. Those are smart picks. I just took Dallas Goedert, and that was kind of what I was talking about. He slid a couple picks past ADP, and I scooped him up. I think I'm very comfortable with Dallas Goedert in the 8th round. He'll have some up and down weeks in a run first offense, but
he's still going to get fed, and they've made him a priority the past 2 seasons. Obviously, when they were comfortable enough for moving on with a veteran in Zach Ertz, and really just someone that's been there forever. Like he's a face of the franchise, right? So when you are able to do something like that, they've really turned the page with Goddard. I feel like he's going to be a big priority in that offense. I've been drafting a ton of him and TJ Hawkinson, because I just feel like they're going to be included in their offenses at a high volume. I think that Goddard could have another really good year. We saw like when he went down that there was like an emergence of like Devonta Smith, like, you know, his role kind of increased. And I just kind of feel like that solidifies Goddard in the pecking order, you know, like he is going to be that big body target that a Jalen Hurts is, you know, looking at, you know, play action, you know, some deceitful play calling, etc.
Yeah, and he'll certainly have his big weeks this year. They have the 2 top line wide receivers, so you only can take the ball out of their hands so many times. But Dallas Goedert is one of the more talented tight ends in the league. I saw you take Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
Just that's a good value pick, I think, kind of there, considering he's in a new offense. You could certainly that's just a wide open Dallas offense after CeeDee Lamb, especially with Dalton Schultz leaving. So I like that pick a lot.
Same.
And it's hard to see Mike Evans on the. I know he had a bad year last year, but man, Mike Evans on the board here.
I just don't know I just don't know if Mike Evans is going to fit well with, you know, lacking, I should say, a deep ball passer. Like he's that big go up and get it type of receiver, someone that you can line up on the outside and, you know, like really go to battle, you know, with opposing top defensive backs. And sometimes, honestly, like Mike Evans' game takes him out of like fantasy relevancy because he wants to open up the field. He wants to do the things that the playbook's going to call for, and not necessarily, especially as he gets older, you know, dominate in touches. And I think that's been more clear the past 2 seasons.
Man, some of the ADP, this underdog ADP is a little wild. I'll say that right now.
Oh, I love it. It's fast and wild. Brock Purdy just won the 8th round. Like that's aggressive. That's super aggressive.
I'm just looking at the guys available. Like Mike Evans just went in the 9th round. Joe Mixon's there in the 9th round. Alvin Kamara is
Rashad Penny just went off the board. Like I haven't taken a single running back, Emerson, and Rashad Penny went off the board in round 9. Like what?
There's Javonte Williams, RB 26. There is Alvin Kamara's RB 34. Like that's wild. Like, I know he might miss 6 games, but man,
that's exactly what I'm talking about, and why I preach to people to wait on running back. Now, of course, I've already said this episode probably 4 or 5 times. Differentiate, do different drafts, do different strategies, but the preferred strategy for me of all of them is still fading running backs. We're getting into almost double-digit rounds here,
definitely.
And Joe Mixon. You had mentioned Javonte Williams, still available. James Cook, James Conner, Alvin Kamara. I mean, I'm not banging the drum. You know, I'm not a religious Alvin Kamara believer.
You don't need to be now.
But the 10th round? Oh, my gosh. I'll believe in anything for that.
Yeah, right. That was smart. That's just how it worked out for me. I ended up going wide receiver heavy at the beginning. My team is Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Derrick Henry is my one running back I did take early. Jalen Waddle, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Chris Godwin at wide receiver, and Dallas Goedert at tight end. I like that a lot. How about you? Where are you looking at?
So I have Tua Tagovailoa, Kirk Cousins. Breece Hall is going to be my hero RB, you know, supplanted by auto draft, and I'm fine with that. Like Breece Hall, absolutely love him. He's going to be my hero RB. I'm going to back him up with some Michael Carter later in the draft. That would have most likely been like an Olave or a DK or Devonta Smith, but I'm all fingers and, you know, Crown Royal here if you can't hear my glass chirping. And then, TJ Hawkinson, Christian Kirk, Drake London, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, great runner receivers. And I'm not giving up yet. I'm going back to the well. I'm going to take another receiver here. I just saw that you took Cam Akers. Don't hate that pick whatsoever, especially in this mix of running backs in round 9. You know, Penny, Pacheco, Williams, Mixon. Zach Charbonnet just went Zach Charbonnet over Jayon Dotson. Good luck, pal.
I agree. We're like Jahan Dotson. It's like he's going to have his upside games this year. But at quarterback, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel still under center. Like I understand that. I like Zach Charbonnet to have 3 down upside this year. I like that.
Hey, he's got to get on a team first, brother. I hope he doesn't land somewhere with another running back because that's the landscape of running backs.
This is the perfect time to do that. This is the perfect time to check. What if he lands in an open running back? Then he's an RB2, and then you just got a great value. So it could go either way, but I like that. I think that's good value.
Yeah, unless I'm getting like the real top guys that I really like, like a Bijan or a Jameer or somebody like that, I'll probably wait till like round 20 and take Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn's another interesting guy. It's shortest guy to ever measure at the NFL Combine. But, man, if anybody could overcome it, it's Deuce Vaughn.
I took another running back just for the brand. I came back down to earth. I came back down to earth a little bit.
I know he might be suspended. I get it. That could happen. But what if he doesn't? What if he doesn't get suspended? I'm going to go Alvin Kamara here, and like, what if he doesn't get suspended? We're like in the 10th round, in the back half of the 10th round of the draft. Come on, that's easy.
The only thing I will say of that selection that you just did is, in my opinion, what I would have preferred to have done instead of Cam Akers is gone Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, especially when you're less exposed to running backs as you get later in the draft. I like to grab. And of course things can change, but an Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, I've done that. Khalil Herbert, Donta Foreman, that's another good late round stack that you can do. And another one that I really love is Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. All these players I just mentioned are all still available. These are just late round stacks that you can do to shore up the backfield that you're attacking. And again, like I said, we have the NFL draft coming up. Things can change. There's still some, free agents out there. My boy Leonard Fournette, I'm going to get probably like round 14, feeling really good about it. There's going to be some changes, but I feel really good with those approaches because at least I'm just going to get the best out of whatever particular backfield I'm targeting.
I don't hate it, but I put more emphasis maybe on that in a league where you have to set lineups, and just in underdog best ball, you can always slide in, it automatically slides in your next best player. So I don't mind, banking on I'm banking on Alvin Kamara, the way that the way that I'm going to win the $1 million, or, I didn't look at the grand prize in this one before I jumped in. $100,000. If I'm going to win the $100,000, Alvin Kamara is probably not going to be able to be suspended. So
right, no, absolutely, and I'm not even talking about that in particular, like Jamal Williams versus suspension or the two of them. I just mean like no matter what the situation is, for all we know, it'll be Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram 2.0 again. We have no clue. That's
true.
I was about to say it's March. It's actually April, but it's very early,
Very early April,
You have to go with whatever you have right now. And I feel like that type of late round stacking is going to be fruitful for, April drafting to equate to potential, actual 2023-24 success.
It'll be these underdog drafts are just crazy. It's going to be crazy. The value picks that it's going to be wild to see the players that we took early whose value craters ahead of the season. It'll be wild to see some of the guys that we took late who are early picks. By the time August comes around, so it's always interesting.
Dude. That's what's so much fun about it. Even with free agency, they're like, oh, I did this draft and, then X, Y, and Z happened. And then you go back and you look at your drafts that you did and you're like, oh, wow, I actually have that stack now. Or, oh, wow, I have that player who's moving up, probably 10 or 15 spots now that they're in a better, on a better team or a better situation. Brandon Cooks, very good example. No one was drafting Brandon Cooks when he was on Houston. He was just sitting around hanging out. He's on Dallas. He's moving up the board. Same thing, Dame Harris, I think a running back that could come off the board in this round. If I don't take him myself, I do say.
One guy that I'm looking at here who's coming up is Elijah Moore. That would be walking into a nice stack for my Deshaun Watson here.
Love it. That's a good stack.
I'm not even set on him being the wide receiver over Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is, a solid athlete, has been very productive. So I'm not sold on it. But Elijah Moore is very talented, top 30, top 36, 37.
Ooh,
gosh darn it. That's kind of devastating a little bit.
DPJ, maybe not this round, maybe
not this pick, but yeah, coming up for sure.
I like Tyler Boyd here for receiver.
It's like I said, with the two wide receivers, I don't feel the necessity to go there. I guess I might go Damian Harris here just to counter your James Cook pick here.
Son of a bitch. Why would you take him?
Why are you stacking running backs? Why are you there's not even a thing. It's not even a thing. I'm not even I'm helping you.
James Cook. What
are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you stacking running backs? You don't even need to do that.
All right. You want to take Dame Harris over Brian Robinson. All right. Okay. All right. That's fine.
I'm not a Brian. I love Brian Robinson. The return from a gunshot wound to the butt. I respect him so much. He's to come back that quick is remarkable. However, I do not love the fantasy player that is Brian Robinson. He's not very explosive. So I just don't see a lot of things he typically does well. And I think Washington could be a candidate to add Bijan Robinson in the draft. That's what I think.
If you take Michael Carter, I am going to smack you with a glove when I see you. I'm going to smack you with a glove.
You should. Okay. With you taking Breece Hall that early, what you were banking on is, I know it was an auto pick, but now your team is dependent on Breece Hall comeback season early on. Like, it's Breece Hall. He's going to recover from an ACL amazingly. Just like I am betting on, what was I betting on earlier? I told you. Oh yeah, Alvin Kamara not getting suspended. Just like things like that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know what? These drafts, it's a 1 in a million chance we're going to win anyway. Why not go for the high end outcome?
How many more picks I got to make for you?
I did. You didn't say anything.
I did. I said Dame Harris. Check the tape. I said Dame Harris is going to go this
David
round.
Harris?
Yeah, I said to myself, if I dare say.
You did say that. I remember that. Okay.
You drafted him.
I helped you. You don't need to. You don't.
Well,
need
this
to
is great. This is great content. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like, what I keep saying the pick. Like, I will not say who I'm going to take anymore. It will not happen. You're gonna snipe me anyways, probably.
I went with Kenneth Gainwell. I didn't snipe you there.
Did not. No, I did not.
I think he could have a nice little pass if the Philadelphia Eagles decide to use their running backs actually to their strength for once. I think Kenneth Gainwell could maybe get a little pass catching role like he got a couple of years ago. So we'll see. Who did you just take? Where was your?
I took Samaje P. Ryan again.
That's a good one.
A slam dunk over Dame Harris. I'll tell you that right now.
I actually I should have done that. I actually should have taken. This is the live draft gets me. Oh no, the live draft gets me. I should have taken Samaje P. Ryan. That was a mistake. I did. All right, that's one I missed. That's me not looking down.
But again, like it's deep enough. 8 running backs, man. There's so many of them that I'm just like, yep, that could be an RB1. Yep, that could be an RB1.
Yeah, now I have more running backs than wide receivers. I have 5 running backs, 4 wide receivers. I'm a little more comfortable doing that in 2 wide receiver lineups, like I said, without that third wide receiver than most of their tournaments that force you to take. So
I'm at 2, 4, and 5. So still in favor of a wide receiver. And you know what? I might have enough running backs. It might be done. I think I'm good. Wait for Michael Carter.
How many running backs do you have?
I got 4.
What do you mean you're done? This is 20. Is this 20 rounds?
I'm good.
Is this 20 rounds?
Oh, it's 20 rounds, buddy.
Yeah, you can't be done.
Well, 3, 7, 7, 3. This is about as balanced as you can get if you want to go across the board. So I like to differentiate, between the high and lows of those medians.
Okay. I always try to stay in. I try to stay within a fairly reason. I try to differentiate heavily on the players, but kind of try to stay within my median range of outcomes on I believe 7 running backs, 7 wide receivers or so. So I try to stick pretty close to that.
I believe for single QB last year, like Best Ball Mania, wasn't it the highest percentage of winners was it was 18 rounds. So it was, I know it was 2 and 2 for the quarterbacks and the tight ends, but I can't remember the combination of the receivers and running backs, but I'm pretty sure it was in favor of receivers. But again, that's single QB.
Yeah, and that could flip-flop this year, especially, with how running backs are being devalued and the great value that we're seeing in these teen rounds.
Tremendously. And I love it. I'm here for it. I've been a robust RB drafter in the past. I'm not against it. There's no one way to play this game. It's just that when I'm looking at rounds like right now, 12 through 15, and I'm looking at running backs that I still like a lot, Alexander Madison, Gibson, Zeke Elliott. I'm not a Zeke Elliott fan. I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. I know he's not with them anymore, but come on. If he goes somewhere, he's just going to be exposed to touchdown opportunities. That's what he's going to be. He's not going to be between the 20 to 20. He's going to be an inside the 10 type of guy. So I think there's a lot of opportunities late in the draft still. I'd mentioned Leonard Fournette, Devin Singletary, again, not a popular name, but he's going to have a role on that Houston Texans team, as a backup running back for sure. I don't know where else the ball is going to go other than on the ground.
Yeah, Bryce Young could have a tough time with the wide receiver core. The offensive line's getting better, though, so could be a nice opportunity for those running backs to get a little volume. They'll probably want to take it easy on Bryce Young without many wide receivers, although they could certainly add one with their mid-first, that 11th or 10th pick in the draft that they have. I'm coming up here with 3 picks to go. Donovan Peoples-Jones is still there. I could certainly go that way, get another stack for Deshaun Watson. Who knows where Lamar Jackson's going? So who knows? Maybe I did get a stack. I doubt it, unless he goes to Tampa Bay with Chris Godwin. But
If I'm looking for Lamar futures on stacking, I'm still going
Miami, I
back
guess.
to the Patriots, and who was my other one?
It's Baltimore for me. I think he's going to spend back in Baltimore. Baltimore's just going to match any offer he gets. That's why he hasn't gotten an offer. That's because
I think that after the draft, the Patriots are going to be willing to give up their picks, their next 2 future firsts after the draft, not before the draft. Before the draft, then they have to give up like a really early first round pick. I don't think they'll do that. I think after the draft, they do nothing at quarterback. They still have Zappy, they still have Mac Jones, and they're looking like, oh well, 2 future firsts and whatever we need to pay Lamar. Sounds good.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that would be the scenario, I guess, if he gets dealt like that. But yeah, I would think that I just feel that that's why he's not getting offers. It's not necessarily the fact that he doesn't have an agent. It's not necessarily the fact that the NFL owners are colluding. I just think that the NFL owners know it's going to be a negotiation, and that if they decide to, invest the time, the Baltimore Ravens are just going to match it anyway. So
yeah, I'm not into the boat that there's collusion. I don't think that it's easy to have the accurate representation of yourself without an agent. I just think it's that simple. Like, yeah, Lamar is doing it on his own, but what agents are doing, because they represent so many players, they're just constantly in conversations with GMs, ownership, front offices. They're getting, just live reads of the situations, when they can and can't make a move, right? It's a chessboard at the end of the day. So I don't know. I just feel like that nuance isn't there for Lamar. Like, he doesn't have that ability to, have a sense of around the league, his value. He's just going, based off of what he wants versus, the give and take, right? Like, he says now, oh, I don't want a fully guaranteed contract, but I want more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson. Well, buddy, Deshaun Watson has the most and the highest, most guaranteed money of all time in the NFL, pal. Like, come on now. Like, let's be sensible. And I just don't think that he has that going on right now. I just don't think he has great guidance.
I actually didn't hate. I know the Cleveland Browns get a lot of flack for that deal. I get why they did it. I know we wish it was for a better person than Deshaun Watson. I totally get that aspect of it. However, if we're just talking about on the football field, the Cleveland Browns were going to suck. It was just going to keep going on. It was never going to change. Mm-hmm. Why not? Deshaun Watson had eliminated the Cleveland Browns from contention because it's Cleveland and nobody wants to go there. And then they were like, okay, we're done doing this. We are done with this game of always being terrible. We're always at the bottom of the league. Hey, Deshaun Watson, fully guaranteed $250 million. What do you think about that? Okay, fine. You know what I mean?
No, they're all in. They're all in. And
it makes sense to me why they did it. Now, here's where I think they should have made the one stipulation they should have made in is, hey, Deshaun Watson, we're going to pay you this, but you're going to eat your money that you get suspended this year. We're not restructuring your contract, because now they put themselves in a bind where Deshaun Watson's $60 million against the cap this next 4 years, really, because they let him not get away with not paying any suspension money. Yep. And restructure the way they structured the contract. So I think that was their big mistake. Not necessarily guaranteeing the contract now. I think they did let him get away with that. Now that'll affect the team in the future, but that's my one criticism.
Right. And when you're another NFL owner, you don't want to pay for that. That, to me, that's not indicative really of the market. That's kind of an anomaly. I don't want to have to pay my players because this other team went out and they took an overly aggressive position overpaying a player. I don't want, as a franchise owner or a GM, I don't want to pay that type of commitment.
See, if you're the New England Patriots or the Washington Commanders are two names that come to mind for me. What do you have better to do? You know what I mean? Honestly,
No,
if you're the Commanders, would be that in that situation. Yeah. In the New England Patriots too, it's just I wouldn't. Now I'll tell you this: spend 2 first-round picks to then pay Lamar Jackson an incredible amount of money. I do not like that. I'd rather try to beat the Baltimore Ravens.
But here's the thing. When you get Lamar Jackson on your roster, he's 46-15 as a starter. Your anticipation is that pick that you just gave up is now going to be a bottom 30 pick in the first round. Whereas right now, I think the Patriots are picking in the top 15. And that just goes back to the conversation about waiting until after the draft. Because if you have Lamar Jackson on your team and you don't finish in the top 10 in the NFL, there was something else that went wrong, in my opinion, at least right now.
I don't know, man. It's just that AFC is so tough. I could see it happening just because it's incredibly difficult in the AFC. There's so many good quarterbacks. If I was him, jumping to the NFC and the Washington Commanders sounds pretty nice.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, those two teams aren't in a position right now to upgrade at QB.
Nice weapons in Washington too. Gonna hopefully have a whole new kind of vibe in Washington with the sell of the team coming up here. So maybe they can be they'll have a positive spin around the team, because the Washington Commanders, I feel like, just have a very negative connotation to them. You know what I mean? Kind of Washington
1,000%, yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Lamar Jackson, new ownership could certainly bring some new light to that city. So I am up here. This is an interesting spot to be in. We're just getting late in the draft. Not a ton here for me to look at. Kareem Hunt at the top of the board, Alec Pierce.
It's early, buddy. We got 5 rounds to go.
I know. That's what I mean.
Roshan Johnson's available. Why aren't you taking him?
I already have 6 running backs. I'm gonna go Michael Gallup. I'm gonna maybe bank on like Brandon Cook's not playing every game. Michael Gallup still getting a little bit of work. We'll see.
Late round receiver I really like, Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah, I mean he has a lot of competition now, but not a lot of exciting competition, just a lot of competition on the field. Nothing really intimidating though yet.
I said I was going to take Leonard Fournette in round 14. I got him in round 16. Shit.
There you go. I think, man, all right. I need a tight end, but I'm not excited about any of these tight ends here.
Jake Ferguson, you just talked about him today, pal.
That's about that. See, not here though. Not here yet.
He's at ADP 194. We're at 184, and you need a tight end. Do you have one? Yeah, you do have Dallas Goedert. You have one. So
Kendre Miller. That is a man who I think is one of the best pure rushers in college football last year.
Okay.
1,399 rushing yards. I think he could sneak into the get day 2 draft capital and have a big role at the beginning of the year. I need to cut it off at running backs now. I cannot draft another running back, but
that's too many.
7 running backs. That's good. I'm comfortable with it, but I'm going to draft wide receivers, hopefully the rest of the way here, with maybe a tight end or 2 as well.
Maybe Ferguson makes it back. I also like Irv Smith going over to Cincinnati. I know everyone loves Irv. I know everyone loves Irv Smith every preseason, but man, what we saw at Hayden Hurst last year with the Bengals, if they can replicate any sort of that with Irv Smith, it's going to be wheels up.
Yeah, there's some intriguing names left here. I'm definitely not taking a third quarterback, obviously, at this point. I'm riding Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson MVP seasons this year.
I might take Sam Darnold with my last pick.
That's an interesting one. Look, he could certainly, if he has the physical tools. This was the guy who was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and then now he has he has every one of the best skill, maybe the best set of skill position players in the NFL. So that's an exciting offense to be a part of. It'd be hard not to be productive, honestly.
If you take Michael Carter, we're going to have problems.
Why do you keep telling? You shouldn't even mention it. I'd forget. My attention span isn't able.
You're going to forget within less than 10 picks.
It wouldn't have even occurred to me that we had this conversation, and I probably would have skipped over him because I'm not a big Michael Carter guy. But if you remind me and put him in my head, then there's always a risk that I take him. There's always that possibility.
Just take Chuba Hubbard instead.
Oh. My computer starts doing these crazy updates, trying to do an update right now. I'm like, stop it.
Don't do that. Don't do that, computer.
We've had technical difficulties before in this podcast. I've had my computer die at the end.
Ouch. Yeah, that's no good.
Well, no, I'm just referring to that one time. You don't remember that when my computer puttered out toward the end, you had to finish it off?
No, I don't remember that exact time, but we do a lot of shows, Buddy.
Yeah, we do a lot of shows. That's true. SGPN is the only place I know that does daily fantasy football podcast, which if you are listening at this point, we would love if you would give us a like and subscribe on YouTube or Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. A review, a like, subscribe, all that means a lot. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and of course, if you've drove this late into the episode, we're a good way in here, about 50 minutes. We should probably also touch on the DGen points because we have to throw a question in after the show for all of our DGen listeners. What are you thinking here? I mean, should we use like late round picks, like who did Emerson take in round 16 or round 12? Well, what are you thinking here?
We can do my next pick if you want. We can see. This is a good point. So yeah, we'll give the DGen question, which gives you an opportunity to win free SGPN merch. It's given away to the person who acquires the most DGen points at the end. And yes, if you do that, and leave a comment, right?
You have to go answer a question on the Spotify channel. So when this episode is uploaded, you'll see it on Spotify or Apple, and all you have to do is answer the question. And be sure to drop like your Twitter handle or an email or any social handle you have, so that we can accumulate your points and keep track. Really appreciate that.
And we will have that answer momentarily. Oh, they keep drafting all the time. I should have drafted another tight end.
A lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. It's a big pick now. We've made it into a thing. So you can't screw it up. There's a lot of eyes on this pick right now.
The answer to this week's DGen question is...
Don't do it.
Irv Smith.
Thank God.
There we go. Irv Smith is going to be the answer to this question. I couldn't do it.
You were doing that build-up, and I was like, it's coming. It's coming.
I couldn't do it only because...
Oh, my God.
You got sniped. Yes. No! Oh my God!
Screw that guy! Oh my God! Jacked Up is in the chat. Fantastic. Jacked Up, show yourself! Show yourself! Boo that man! Boo!
Oh, we have Ben Haskell talking to us. I missed his comments, but he was wanting to know if he can join us for a draft.
Always.
You know what? We'll always be doing another one. Not tonight, my friend, but you'll keep an eye out for us on our handles, and we'll be doing plenty of drafts. We might get on another one here before too long, too.
I do appreciate the DGens that get in and want to do a second draft. Gindy was in the draft last week with us, asking us for round 2 of the little board, and I appreciate the enthusiasm because by all means, I've done it. I finished the draft, and I'm like, you know what? That was so much fun. Let's go right back. Let's get right back in there. But when you're doing it live, it's a different beast to tame.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, I can't believe you got sniped on Michael Carter. That was perfect.
That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Awesome. I can't believe that.
That's great.
Again, you had that build up. I was like, oh my God, he's doing this because he's going to take him.
I couldn't do it. Just practically speaking, I couldn't take another running back there. So I wanted to. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to ruin your season, but now I'm gonna go Terrace Marshall here, and wide receiver 90. Why not? Guy who's been very disappointing, but all the athletic tools. DJ Shark and Adam Thielen signed, so he's not quite the projected wide receiver 1 he was just a couple weeks ago, but still probably could sneak on the field, I think.
Yeah, I went with Mecole Hardman, darling of the week in NFL news. Like, they won't stop talking about how they want to widen his route tree.
Mecole Hardman, as a Kansas City fan, I can tell you that he's not someone I as a Jets fan, I would be excited about Mecole Hardman joining the offense, not for what he's going to produce on the stat sheet, but just the fact that he is going to be a burner, taking coverage down the field with him, deep downfield. It's going to open up a lot for Garrett Wilson. That is what Mecole Hardman's best asset is his speed and kind of what, and I love Mecole Hardman as a football player, actually. I thought he was a little bit underrated in Kansas City, especially when he was healthy. He was able to have a lot of big plays. I like what he brings to the offense. Not an exciting for fantasy purposes for me, but obviously we're at no wide receiver 80 something. So up at this point, that seems about right for me. So up here, we still have about 12 picks till we go. So, man, yeah, this draft's been fun though. I like the guy that snagged some quarterbacks early. I think that was a good move. I wish I would have taken it a little bit. I got a lot of exciting running backs that I like. I love Devon Achane is a guy that I'm just a huge fan of on tape. He's a smaller running back, but he is electric. Kendre Miller is actually they're both my RB4 and RB5 in the my dynasty rookie rankings and running backs. They're first round picks in my even my Superflex leagues, there's first round picks. I have them ranked. So I like that pick. I think they could walk into some nice roles early on. I wish I would have went a little bit heavier on wide receiver and tight end. That's just maybe snagged one more a little bit earlier. And we got to get you drinking. Do I need to send you a good bottle of whiskey? How you drinking that Crown Royal?
Straight.
Oh my God, that's sugary, man. That's some sugar.
It's got the apple in it. It's really good.
That's even more. Oh my God.
It's really good.
Oh, Justin, you're killing me, brother. Oh, as a bartender, it hurts me to see you drinking Crown apple neat.
You have a thing against Crown Royal?
A little bit, kind of.
All right. Well, that's all right.
It's not. It's great. If it just makes a good, decent it can be used in cocktails. But man, that's a rough drink to drink and neat, my friend. Oh,
is it?
All right. At the Fantasy Football Expo, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna have to show you how it's done.
I'm excited to go and to celebrate forgetting, because that's what we're ain't gonna remember shit.
There's gonna be it's just sitting hungover through like the media the meetings and speeches at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of coffee drinking going on that last morning there for sure.
Oh man, hope you change your mind. He's putting pressure on us. He's saying, hope you change your mind about doing backs to backs tonight. That's awesome.
The wife won't let me tonight.
I respect that, Ben. You know what? I need to do a better job about promoting it ahead of time. And you know what? I might try to, I might try to do maybe one later this week. And I'll post it ahead of time. And, I might just hop on for just a quick, fun little live stream, little just Underdog podcast, just for fun, just a little mini one. I guess these aren't mini ones.
Oh, these are
projects. Are mini ones. They're projects. Yeah. But we're getting that was pretty quick. That went faster than I thought. It can go up to like an hour and to like an hour and 15 minutes. And we're kind of like 15 minutes. I feel like about had a schedule here. We're getting down to our final picks.
I think there were some auto drafters, and to be perfectly honest, that jacked up guy may have auto drafted Michael Carter, because a few rounds earlier I saw him like insta pick, snap of a finger. It was Sean Tucker, and I don't know if that's a snap finger decision personally.
Yeah, especially with him not testing at all this offseason.
I was gonna take Mike White. He just went at 223. I was at 227. I have Tua. That was the only play on that. So just like, hey, if Tua dies, then he dies. I have Mike White.
I took my third tight end. I took somebody I am very excited about, Jelani Woods. I think he's just a monster of a human being out there. Could have some upside as could be the tight end one in Indianapolis, and if that's the case, definitely a value here.
I see your Jelani Woods, and I raise you a Darnell Washington.
You might have just drafted an offensive tackle.
I may have.
I'm just kidding.
Offensive tackles can still catch touchdowns.
They did. It was discussed at the NFL Combine. There was scouts that took away. They were like, we're going to turn him into a tackle if we draft him.
Those guys are fucking idiots.
I know that. I'm just saying.
Guys massive.
That's still in the realm. I know he would be a massive tackle.
Okay, I guess. I mean, like, the guy can catch. He's got such a fucking wide catch radius. Like, yeah, sure, let's put him at tackle. Who is that? Marty Schottenheimer? Like, who had that take? I want to know. Like,
I'm just telling. That was the scoop from the NFL Combine. Was some even after all those amazing catching drills, some took away that he was going to play tackle in the NFL.
Well, man, some of these scouts in the NFL are just fucking idiots. Like,
I know. You know what? I think it's just the premium of having the position. But I do like that pick there. Darnell Washington has that upside. Obviously, it may be a little bit further down the line. That's why he's there. But who's am I going to take here with my final pick?
There are just so many teams that are thirsty for tight end. Like, I can't imagine that somebody's not going to take a shot on him. Cedric
Tillman was my final pick. I'd like him. I think he could slide into the second round of the NFL draft this year. Could maybe in the middle of the second round. So I think that's a good value pick with my final one. Where did you go with your final pick here?
I went Dearness Johnson.
Oh, that's a good one. I had him in my article today too. So that's a good one.
I absolutely love where he's going. I actually haven't got him in the last round in most drafts. I've had to take him a few rounds earlier. So I'm pretty happy about it. I mean, we've seen minor spurts of him being great. So I'm just hoping that in a number 2 potential role that he could really shine. And we've talked about this before about Doug Peterson wanting to use multiple running backs. He already has 3 guys that he likes. That may even draft another. So hopefully Jonas can just earn some more priority.
I love it. So now that we're at the end here, we love auto drafters. And yeah, you know what? It's money in your pocket, Ben, is what that is. We love auto drafters as well. Yes. So give us your team, Justin. Break it down for us.
Yeah. So from the top here, we got Tua Tagovailoa, Kirk Cousins, no third quarterback. We went Breece Hall, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Samaje P. Ryan, Leonard Fournette, Chuba Hubbard, and Ernest Johnson. Not a single running back stack. You're welcome, Emerson. Christian Kirk, Drake London, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Jayon Dotson, Tyler Boyd, Isaiah Hodgins, Mecole Hardman. Very solid receiver set. And then Hawkinson, Higbee, and Washington. Sounds like a law firm.
I like that. I went 2 quarterbacks as well. I have Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson with my first 2 picks. Took Derrick Henry early in the 4th round. Cam Akers, Alvin Kamara, really late, hoping he doesn't get suspended, but we will see. That is certainly a possibility. Damian Harris, Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell is someone who I could see stepping into a larger role. Rashad Penny, we knew they were going to bring in somebody. So if Rashad Penny is all they bring in, that's a big positive for Kenneth Gainwell. And then I went with 2 upside rookie running backs in Devon Achane and Kendre Miller. They are in my top 5 rookie running back rankings. So I really like the value later on in the draft there. Wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Chris Godwin. I love starting off with those first 4 wide receivers, especially the talent I was able to get at quarterback and Derrick Henry. Those guys, I feel really good about that. It kind of makes up for the fact that I don't have a strong second 4 wide receivers. Just only start 2 wide receivers, so I don't feel terrible about it. But I would have liked to have a better 5th wide receiver than Donovan Peoples-Jones. Michael Gallup is a pick that I kind of regret. I was kind of caught off guard with the pick, doing between the live stream. Would have liked to maybe go somewhere else. Terrace Marshall at the very end of the draft isn't something I hate. And Cedric Tillman with my last pick is a good value pick, especially considering he could be a 2nd-round pick in the NFL draft. Tight end, Dallas Goedert. I don't mind betting on outlier outcomes in these underdog drafts. So I don't have a strong 2nd or 3rd tight end in Irv Smith or Jelani Woods. But Dallas Goedert, I don't mind betting on him having, a top 3 tight end season, essentially. That's how I'm going to win big money. I'm fine betting on that. He was very, he obviously was a bit hurt last year, but could be part of an explosive offense. So that is it. 2 quarterbacks in Superflex is risky. But the reason I do that, Ben, is just because we're betting on a high range of outcomes with these picks. You know what I mean? It's a long shot. We're going to win these big bucks. So essentially, by me taking 2 quarterbacks that early on in drafts, I'm betting on Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson being Pro Bowl quarterbacks, being borderline MVPs. That's how I'm going to win the big bucks. So if they are that, I really don't need a 3rd quarterback. And the fact that it's best ball, I just automatically slide in those players. Maybe they miss a week. Maybe, obviously they're going to have bye weeks. I just automatically slide in my best skill position in that spot. And, if they miss significant time, I'm not winning that big money anyway, is how I'm looking at it. If Lamar Jackson is not a top 5 quarterback, I'm not going to win that big money anyway, is how I look at it.
1,000% correct.
Any big takeaways before we head off? Anything you're working on this week? Anything big coming out, Justin?
No, we got Fantasy Hockey Show tomorrow. If you're a follower of the SGPN network, we got Fantasy Hockey Championship week, so that'll be solid. Be sure to check that show out. Andrew and I will be back on Thursday with another show reviewing fantasy football ADP heroes on Underdog. So we'll be, discussing some deep ADP plays, some early guys that you kind of must want to draft early on, later on, and then I'll have an article this Friday backing that episode up. ADP heroes and Underdog.
I love it. Thank you, Ben, for joining the live chat today. I really appreciate that. It was great having you a part of the show. I will be working on, I have tons of stuff coming out. I had a podcast with Ryan Miner, who's a great fantasy football mind. We did 24. Our first 20, a little 2-round rookie mock draft right before I joined on here. You can catch on the Fantasy Football Face-Off Network. I write articles every week for Player Profiler and the Right Way Sports Network as well. You can catch my stuff there. So, and I do a weekly article for Sports Gambling Podcast Network right here, where you can get, which I wrote about dynasty waiver wire targets today, or as some people always like to yell at me, that you can get them for free in trades too. I get it. You have 40 players in your dynasty league. I get it. Okay, nobody's on your waiver wire. I understand that. Okay, if you're doing a trade with this person, you can ask for them for free, or you can trade a 5th round rookie pick for them. So they're essentially free, or maybe waiver wire targets too. So I always add that caveat in because people at Reddit will scream at me that none of these players are on my waiver wire. What do you mean? So I always throw that caveat in there. So, but with that, we'll head off, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for joining on this Monday. Have a great rest of your night. I appreciate y'all.